In this video, I will show you how to use FERRET Report Viewer. After hit this URL, as FERRET suite is deployed into my local machine, so after hit this URL, just login.html. I'll be prompted to give my username and password. So I'm giving my username and password. So this is the view of FERRET Report Viewer. We can configure and manage all the terms and reports in this viewer. Earlier I have shown you the data mapper and report designer. By data mapper and report designer we can create many projects and report, but if we need to configure and manage them, we have to use this viewer option. So here we can see the reports, we can manage the reports, we can delete the reports, we can set the application path, etc. So at first in the configuration item I can see preference, and before we know about preference we have to know what is access control. So I'm going to access control. Access control means giving accessing power, controlling the accessing power for user. Here I can see the existing projects which we have mapped from data mapper, and in this existing project if we preferenced any data model in data mapper, then we can see it in configuration items. So there is no preferenced data model in those help. So we move on to another project like node lock map. So here we can see an preferenced item. So now I just have to select a user. The user we have created for FERRET suite. This is the user list, and we can select a user, and then we can set a condition over this data model only, just like that, not equal to, and we have to move this user. So we have to set a condition and we can set a criteria. This is the node name list from database, and we can select a data column from here, and this means we have set a accessing control restriction for Jamila over node name, and Jamila cannot see DramaBox 87. She can see any node name except DramaBox 87. So if we save these settings, it will be saved for Jamila. And so this is how we can control the accessing power for any user. This is all about access control. Now we will move on to preference. Preference access control is authorized by some administrator. Only administrator can give accessing power to any user, and preference is only can set by a user himself, because this preference means for any existing report created by report designer, if any preference data exists, any of this report, then the user can manage his configuration item. So if I select any report here like site info, so there is a configuration item. There is no configuration item because no preferenced data model used in this report. If we move on to another report, so we can see there is a preference item like node name. If we select node name, then just a user can set his own condition here. So it will be like that. User want to see all the node name except DramaBox 87. Okay, and so this is how we can set the preferences for user. Next we see data upload. Before we know about data upload, we have to know about master data management. So I'm going to master data management. There is 3 lists in master data management, like master data list, configuration, query execution. In master data list, we have to set the tables and database for configuration. Like if we select any database like node-log map, then we can see the table here. Node-log is already selected table, and if you want to select more table, then we just have to select the table and pass it there. If you want to remove any table, then we just have to select the table and remove. This means we set this table and set this global class ID for further configuration, uploading, configuration, execution, etc. Then we move on to configuration. Then here we can see only 2 database project name or global class ID, because we have set only 2 global class ID in master data list. So I'm going to select one project, and I can see only node-log because we have set only node-log in master data list. So if I select the global class ID and table name, then we can set the primary column name. We can see all the column name here, and we can set a column name as primary column name, and we can limit the row number in configuration item. And next is query execution. If we select a global class ID, we can set a query here by this new. We can enter a query name. A type can be a query or a procedure, and then we can just write the query like select start from node, like this way. And if we save this query, then we can run this query from query execution. This is just only execute the procedure and query from front end. So now we will go to data upload. In data upload, we have 2 tabs, data upload and query execution. In data upload portion, we can upload a data for our selected global class ID. We can see only 2 global class ID we have set in master data management. So if we select one global class ID and a table, you can see all the column name of the table in there, and we can upload the data from a file. So the file types either can be a text, CSV or Excel, and if we enter a file, then the file will, if the first row will set as a column name, then it will match the column name as a first row, and we can choose a delimiter by which the data will separate. It can be like tab, space, semicolon, pipeline, etc. So this way we can just, if we take a file, then we can set all the data of the file into this table. And if we want to run any query, then we just have to select a global class ID, and we have to select a query, which query we have set in master data management. We can see the list of the query. I haven't set any query yet, so it cannot see, we cannot see anything here. So if we set any query, then we just select the query and execute there. So this is how we can see the database tables data in data upload and query execution. So it's all about data upload. Now we will move on to report management. Report management is pretty easier option. It's just about to delete the report and report folder. We can select a report and just delete it. So the report deleted. And then data mapper management. We can delete any project which we have mapped in data mapper from this data mapper. It will show the existing report used by this project. So it's just for ensuring if I really want to delete this project or not. So next is application management. Application management is like for changing the company names. So here we can see the SSTBI solution. We can change the company name and we can set the URL port. Now I'm using port 50932. If this port remain busy for any other purpose, so we can change the port from there. And this is the base path where we set the total application. We can update anytime any of this path URL company name just by clicking update this. And then we move on to support document. There is no support document we have keep yet. This earlier I have told you about access control. Now admin panel. In admin panel we can create any user, just giving the user name, email, first name, last name, password, and then add new user. The user will be added. Then user management. This portion we can permit a user for the accessing configuration item. Here we can see the permission for Jamila. I'm selecting a user search, so I can see here she can only see the DOSA ISP report. Her dashboard permission means configuration item, which item she can configure, like admin panel, schedule configuration, report management. No access control and no data mapper management. Jamila. Access control, we can see we have set the access control for Jamila. So see, Jamila can see only DramaBox 87 for node name from node log map. And user list, we can see all the user here. If I log in as an administrative power, so I can delete any user. And then create role. We can create a role for using report designer and data mapper. If I add a role like role 1, and we can see the role in role management. See role 1, and we can update and delete this role. The role 1 is showing 0 because it has 0 user under this role. And in details we can see which user is permitted for this role. This is the role list. This is the role, and in details we can see the permitted members. So by creating a role, we can just assign a member to this role. We can assign the user in user role management, like role 1. If I want to set the role, then enter just the user. Then ABCD user can access the role, and we can set the role by user. This two way we can set the role. Now in role list, if we refresh, you can see the details. So this is how we can create a user, manage the role for the user. And next is report schedule. Before we know about report schedule, we have to know about schedule configuration, because we have to configure all the schedule items, then we can schedule any report. So this is the configuration. We can set either email or folder. This means a report will be scheduled at a certain time for this email. We have to set the domain name, host name, username, password, and if we set the schedule by email, we have to set the to email. It means to whom it will send. If we want to set any CC type person, then we just have to set the email ID of this CC type person, and email subject, attachment name, and the body, the email. So this is this way we can set the configuration for email, and we can set either folder setting. We just have to set the directory, username, and password. And then we can schedule a report. This is the report items we have created in BI FERRET suite, and if we go to the schedule option, then this report has no schedule. This report has a schedule in hourly basis. If we want to add any schedule to any report, we just have to select the report and go to plus. This is the occurrence type. If we want to just see send a mail or say download in a folder the report in Excel or other format, then we can just click on now. If we select once, it will download once, and we can download or send email by hourly, minutely, weekly, daily, monthly, etc. And this is the destination. Output format, in what format we want to see the report. If report contains any user input, then we just have to set the user input. So this is the way we can set a scheduling. We can configure the scheduling for any report, and if we click save, the schedule for the report will be saved. So this is how we can configure the schedule and schedule a report. And then the last item is profile. A user can change his profile picture from here, and this is the information of the user can change information from there and save. It will be saved for the user. If the user want to change the password, then you can change the password from there. If you cancel, it will be cancelled. So this is all the configuration item of report viewer. And now we can see the existing report we have created by data mapper and report designer. We can see it. We just have to select a report and then generate. So we can see the report from the report viewer. So this is all about the report viewer. So I'm now going to sign off.